Hi, welcome to Karen K Reviews. Today I'm reviewing Abbott Elementary Season 2, Episode 8, Egg Drop. This episode's opening scene takes place in the Abbott Elementary garden. Barbara finds what she thinks is a human rib, and she, Melissa, and Jacob flee the scene. Then we cut to Mr. Johnson, who thinks that he has played a prank, but then realizes that is not the bone he buried. Greg was behind it all along. He wants them out of his garden that he is secretly working in. Our next scene is the benchmark meeting where the teachers make plans for the second half of the year. Janine, in her confessional, says, "We love these. They remind us that even though it feels like it's time for summer break, the school year is not even close to being over." No one loves these, just Janine. But when I rewatched this part and thought about how the episode moves forward, I think it's safe to assume that this is Janine's power positivity thought. Our first conflict this episode is introduced when an eighth grade teacher, Mr. Morton, announces in the meeting that his class will be doing an egg drop. Janine, of course, thinks it's a great idea and says she would like for her class to participate. Mr. Morton is like the anti Janine. Janine is all about positivity, while Mr. Morton is grounded in fact. He doesn't sugarcoat that the science of the egg drop is too advanced for the second graders. The episode's next conflict occurs when Crystal, the parent of one of Barbara's kindergartners, shows up with the B word tattooed and displayed on her chest. Crystal is played by Raven Goodwin, who many of us know as Niecy and Being Mary Jane. The tattoo is something that Barbara, who is of a different generation, just cannot wrap her head around. I personally would have been a bit put off by the tattoo showing, just considering that it is the setting of a school. Janine is set on having the egg drop for her students, but she is not focusing on the scientific part of it. She has the kids decorating them. Eli, one of her students, is growing attached to the egg that he has named Ralph. Barbara tries to talk to Crystal about the B word tattoo being exposed, but since she wasn't direct, Crystal zips up her jacket and it has an S word on it, which Barbara explains to a child is the St. Louis University for Technology. Next, the egg drop. Mr. Morton's eighth grade class is successful, Melissa's class is successful, or so we thought, but Janine's class ends up being a disaster. Every egg breaks, and Eli has an emotional breakdown over his egg. Janine tries to make it okay with the unrealistic optimism that she always does, but the kids are devastated. Later, we find out that Melissa hardboiled her egg so that her class can avoid the disappointment of failure. Janine wants a do over so her class can feel better. Greg explains that she is not approaching the egg drop correctly. She is not approaching it scientifically at all, and failure is a part of science. So he offers to help her. Greg then challenges Janine's belief about positivity by challenging her to touch his raised hand. He explains that failure is a part of learning and that she can't learn if she doesn't accept it. She eventually realizes that everything cannot just be done and fixed by having a positive attitude. Barbara then decides that she is going to get Crystal the guidance that she needs. She assumes that Crystal is a single mom and suggests a support group and gives her a place where she can go to get professional clothes. She finds out that Crystal is married and a business owner. She completely misjudged her and alienated her by not just being direct about the tattoo and clothes. Next, Barbara is browsing through Crystal's website and Ava notices. Ava actually is helpful to Barbara in this situation, and usually it's the opposite. She asks about the child's well being and grades. Barbara answers that the child is a great student. Barbara explains that she just doesn't understand why a mother would act like this. Then Ava drops something on Barbara. Do you need to? In this case, since the child is Barbara's concern, and since the child is healthy and doing well in school, she doesn't need to. Barbara apologizes for misjudging Crystal, and Crystal says that she understands and that she will wear PG rated clothes around the school building. Janine realizes that she can still do science experiments with her kids, but they cannot just be based on positivity. The egg lift is a success, but then they get busted to smithereens by the ceiling fan. However, now that Janine and her students understand that failure is a part of science, they are content with the results. Here are a few stray observations. Children's hands really do carry the holidays. I thought Melissa's "here we go" when Janine says that she would like her kids to do the egg drop was hilarious. I almost feel like Melissa and Barbara know Janine better than Janine knows herself. I love Barbara's list of her favorite B words: Barbara, Bible, blessing, blueberries. I'm always impressed with the kid actors. Eli did a great job. I like the callbacks to the snake eggs from season one when Melissa is giving Mr. Morton the eggs and to Janine's fear of heights when she is climbing the ladder. The way that Jacob, the way that Greg interacts with Jacob is hilarious. When Jacob starts trying to explain his beef with Mr. Morton, and Jacob says, he's very passive aggressive, don't even ask me why. And then Greg just says, okay, two completely different communication styles, and it's really fun to see it play out. Jacob always looks slightly shocked by Greg's reactions. Barbara interacts with Jacob in a similar way in this episode when Jacob just has to announce that he's going to sit the conversation about Crystal's tattoo out, but then is about to explain the reclaiming of the B word. I love that they introduced another teacher as a secondary character this episode, which was what I had been hoping for. Also, maybe the lower level teachers are the only ones who really have the patience for Jacob, which would explain why he is always hanging out around them. The scene where everyone is explaining the crazy unscientific theories that they believe, and Greg is just like, enough, was great. It definitely fits with Greg's character to be a firm believer in science and facts. I think Ava is catching on to the fact that there is chemistry between Janine and Greg based on her facial expression when Greg says that he can help Janine. I feel like Greg and Mr. Morton should become friends. Morton is a bit drier, but they are similar. Janine's I want to fight you was hilarious and also a teacher referral waiting to happen. It's funny to watch Janine and Jacob basically be mad at Morton for just being Morton. I also love that Greg felt personally attacked by Jacob's impersonation of Mr. Morton after Janine did the same thing to him. Nobody sounds like that. I love that at the end in Mr. Morton's confessional, he admits that he really can't stand Jacob. I now want to get to the bottom of this beef. Overall, give this episode an 8. I love that the writers let the character flaws of Janine and Barbara guide the plot of this episode. What are your opinions on this episode? Comment down below. If you like this video, please subscribe, like, and share. Thank you for watching.